Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we're going to take a look at an oldie but a goodie, and it's a figure that has been out for quite a long time, but I actually just recently had a request for it to be reviewed on the channel, and I think that was primarily because of this red version that I guess there's not too many reviews of online, so I dug these guys out of storage, brought them here to review for you guys, and here we go. These are the Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex figures, and they were probably the first actual decent Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex figure that they had released. Obviously, as you can tell by looking at them, they are very Jurassic Park inspired by the sculpts. Overall, the head sculpt specifically looks very Jurassic Park-ish with the overall shape of the Rex head. However, the paint schemes don't really match anything that we've seen from either of the movies. I mean, the closest you've got is some green on this Rex to a Lost World version of the left one here. But regardless, I am actually still quite a big fan of both of these figures. I know there are definitely a lot of people that don't like them, but I personally am a big fan. So let's go ahead and get a closer look. Now, because the person that did want to have this reviewed had specifically requested that I review the reddish version, we will actually review the sculpt on this one, and then we will just take a look at the difference in color between the two. This one here is actually, I believe, an exclusive. Initially, when I had found out about this Rex at Walmart, they had said or claimed that it was a Walmart exclusive. However, I think I have seen it for sale on a few different websites online like Amazon and everything, so I'm not too sure just how much validity there is to this being an exclusive of anywhere. However, I could be wrong. If we take a look at the head sculpt, as I said, it does look very nice, very Jurassic Park-ish with the overall appearance of it. You can see that the sculpt work, as always when it comes to a Schleich figure, is really nice. The lower jaw has quite a good bit of detail in it and lots of nice creases and crevices throughout the skin. If we look at the upper side, the upper part of the jaw and head looks really nice as well. The nostrils are beautifully sculpted out there. I love the fact that the skin texture differs from the snout here to what you see in the palate area, and then also differs to what you see up here closer to the eye and all around the eye. There is quite a bit of difference all throughout the head sculpt of this Rex, really showing you just how much work was put into this when it was initially sculpted. It really is beautifully sculpted, and the paint application is really nice as well. You can see numerous different tones of red, and then you've got the dark coloration around the eye, and then it kind of tapers off to a dark coloration out here at the end of the snout around the nostril area, along with a little bit of a lighter coloration here in the palate. So there is a good bit of paint application that is included. You can see the skin flap on the inside of the mouth does sport some pretty nice detail and is a very realistic color, kind of like a peach type color. The tongue itself, although it's kind of hard to see, also has some very nice red to it and sports some incredible detail as well. Kind of seems like it's got a black wash in there to bring out the detail a little bit, and that looks really, really cool. The eyes are painted perfectly on both sides of this figure, and the eye is nothing more than a red with a black pupil, but it does look very nice and does appear to have a gloss coat on the eye, or at least was painted with gloss paint, and it does shine fairly realistically. I think the use of the red color on the eye helps to give this a very evil type of an appearance as far as a Rex goes. Now, as you start to run down the neck, you can see some osteoderms picking up and a lot of creases in the skin. It transitions from like that dark burnt umber brown, almost a black, into this kind of a chocolate brown, but it really transitions very abruptly. There is no gradual transition into this. It just changes from the black or dark brown straight into the chocolate brown, which I feel like could have been done a little better, but it doesn't really look too bad. It also then transitions to a light underbelly of red, which is similar to the red you see up on the face. As you run down the neck, you again see, like I said, lots of sculpt and detail when it comes to the wrinkles in the skin and the creases of the neck skin. You can slightly make out the shoulder blade there protruding from the skin. Some fairly decent musculature here in the arms. Obviously, these Rex arms are a good bit longer than they should be if this were a scientifically accurate Rex. However, it does definitely have a similar arm length to what you see on the Jurassic Park T-Rex. The overall skin texture of the body looks really nice and has a very fun-looking scaling going on. The scales aren't really different sized or anything. I feel like a newer Tyrannosaurus Rex from Schleich would probably have a good bit more as far as difference in the scales. However, they do still look really, really nice. If you look at the underbelly, you can even see some hanging skin kind of in the chest. and some very nice sculpt work. Lots of creases and skin folding going on here on the underside of this Rex. Up here in the leg, you can get an idea of the hip bone here protruding from the skin a little bit, and that very nice skin texture. Those scales run the entire length of the leg down to pretty much the entire body, really, of the leg. The whole thing, you see some very nice musculature here in the thigh, which they've beautifully defined with a darker brown in the creases of the muscle tone. That same thing you see down here with the very nice bulging calf muscle, which you can see has a nice reddish color, which is the underside color of this Rex. And then just like the hands, it gradually changes into like a yellowish color, which gives it a good bit of a bird-like appearance. The feet are sculpted really, really nicely. No sloppiness that appears in the nail paint or anything. The dew claws are painted and everything, and it really looks beautiful. The scoots along the foot also look really nice. So that is very beautifully done. The kneecap is really beautifully portrayed there. Then you come up here into the tail, and again the scales and that skin texture run out the length of the tail, but you also can see some bigger and thicker scaling that runs the underside of the Rex, and you see this striping that takes place right here. It kind of picks up after the thigh here and runs out the length of the tail until we get to about there, which really does help to give it a very nice striking appearance. There are also a few stripes up here on the top of the back, but I think the striping really kicks in here and looks very cool. The opposing side doesn't really look any different when it comes to the sculpt work as the opposite side does, because there isn't really too much going on. The Rex is kind of just standing in a very neutral type of a position. The only thing that's really going on, if you look at it from the top, is that the Rex has its head ever so slightly turned to the right. So for the most part, the sculpt and detail is all pretty much the same that you see on the other side. It's the same that you see on this side. Some nice creases here behind the leg and everything. And again, you can really see that very nice skin texture that runs out the entire length of the body. It is really quite the beautiful sculpt, and I actually am quite the fan of this paint scheme. And then you've got this green version, which was the more widely distributed version, which is still, I believe, quite readily available today. I think you can see some dust here and there on mine, as he's kind of been just chilling in storage for quite a while. But if you take a look at the head, you've got that same articulated jaw, which is what you saw in the other one. I believe the skin flap of the mouth and the tongue are all the same color as the previous one. There's no difference there. As far as the coloration goes, you can see that it kind of has like a very dark green that borders the jaw on both the upper and lower jaw. And then it's got a mixture of a few different variations of lighter greens here. And up here on the top, you've got a very nice, almost a yellow type of a color here on the nostril area that runs up onto the top of the head a little bit there. You also get a darker green all around the eye, and the eye itself is kind of like a lime green with a black pupil. It does really look nice, and it meshes well with the rest of the body. I think that was a very nice choice as far as the eye color goes. Really works perfectly for this color scheme. I am not super huge on this kind of like a goldish brown that borders right here in this area of the head and then kind of spots up here on the back. I feel like it probably would have looked a little better if it didn't have that. However, it's not the end of the world. I just don't really like it that much. It kind of gives me the feeling like maybe he's wearing sort of like armor on his head a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how to put it, but I like it the other way, where the other Rex kind of didn't have that feeling or didn't have that appearance. It feels like it's all that same color and same style of the head sculpt. But if you look at the green one, he's kind of got this weird goldish brown thing going on. I don't really like that too much. I feel like it would have looked a lot better without that. Then as you look all over the rest of the body, you could just see some different variations of darker and lighter greens. And again, you get a little bit of that spotting here in the knee, which I already said that I'm not a huge fan of. And then it's similar style to the other one. You get the goldish brown type of a foot paint and hand paint. I think this is a little bit of a darker shade than what you saw on the previous Rex. It looks good on this one as well. The only thing I really don't like about this one is the spots and that kind of goldish brown up here on the head. But other than that, I feel like it's really, really nice. The underside is also like a beautiful variation of brown, similar to what you see on the feet. And that is a really nice coloration. I feel like that's a beautiful, very realistic coloration. And overall, the greens all look really nice and natural as well. It's just those two little areas that I said about, like the spotting and the brownish, goldish type paint around the eyes, I'm not super huge on. As far as the teeth, actually looking at those, they're a little bit sloppily painted on this one. Not too bad, but they are those typical trademark Schleich teeth that are kind of big and bulky. and they look okay. I'm not a big fan of the Schleich version of teeth, but it still looks alright. Again, I do really like this Rex, but I think I like the reddish one a little bit better. As far as the size goes on the Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex, from the tail to the head, you're looking at about just a hair under 11 inches, or about 28 centimeters. And for a height, you're looking at about 5¼ inches, or about 13, almost 13.5 centimeters, somewhere in that area. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo Rex, and you can see that they are actually really similar in size. I feel like they're probably about in the same size range as looking at the two here. I think if the Papo Rex had his tail up, wasn't in a tripod position, they'd probably be about the same length. So as far as the size goes, they really fit quite well together, and they are decently sized figures, probably a little bit closer to the larger scale when it comes to dinosaur figures. So really beautifully sized these Rexes are, and they really look quite at home with Mr. Papo Rex. So the Schleich Tyrannosaurus Rex, can't really recall exactly what year these came out, but they are really nice looking figures. I feel like both really do look beautiful. The reddish one is a little bit closer to what I would say my favorite is. The green one still does look really nice, but I did state there are a few little areas I'm not a huge fan of. But again, I think both do look really nice. There are actually other color schemes. I believe there was a bluish one and a gold one. I don't have either of those, or I would have included them in this review, but I feel like they were part of maybe like the cave set or some kind of crazy limited edition that I didn't get a hold of, and I'm not really too worried about it because I have seen pictures of them and I wasn't a huge fan. I think that definitely the reddish one will be my favorite when it comes to this Rex as far as the overall color scheme goes. However, the sculpt of, again, both of them, as they are the exact same figure, is really nice, very Jurassic Parkish. As I stated before, they are both very highly detailed and really nicely done as far as the small minute details go. Not quite as detailed and sculpted as beautifully as you would see on a more updated Schleich figure. However, they are still really nice, and if you are looking for a very nice looking Jurassic Park inspired Tyrannosaurus Rex, these are both beautiful versions of it, just not really so much when it comes to the paint schemes, as the paint schemes are not at all what you do see in either of the films of Jurassic Park. The paint application on both of these is really nicely done. It all looks very natural, beautifully airbrushed on there, and I think they've done a great job on the paint on both. The green one, obviously, as I've stated numerous times now, has a little bit of an area where I don't really like when it comes to that goldish brown. But aside from that, the green all over the place is really beautifully applied and looks very nice, very natural. I also love the gradual change when it comes to the tail here. It gets to like a lighter green on the end of the tail of the Rex, and that really looks nice as well. I didn't really talk about that when we were looking at it up close. However, the paint application really looks nice. The sculpt on these really looks nice. Both of these are honestly beautiful Tyrannosaurus Rex figures, and I highly recommend both. So if you do want to buy either of these, I will try to find somewhere that I can link you in the description, as I believe these are discontinued since Schleich does now have a newer Tyrannosaurus Rex out. I think these might be a little harder to find, but they were really common back when they were still being manufactured, so I don't think you'll have very hard of a time finding either. Like I said, I will try to link you in the description to both of these, so check the description, buy them if you'd like, but before you do that, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.